This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the Labour Party strengthens its hold on Dunedin, taking both the city's electorates with a healthy majority on Saturday night. It's slightly better news for the National Party outside Dunedin City as the party holds on to 3 safe seats. And away from politics, snow fans hit the slopes at Cadrona Ski Field for their final runs of the season at the weekend. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi o te ahiahi nei, kia ora, I'm Simon Anderson. As part of what is being described as a crimson dawn, both Labour candidates standing in the 2 electorates for Dunedin City won with overwhelming majorities. And in the newly established Dunedin electorate, the standing National candidate received almost fewer votes than his 25-year-old Green Party adversary.
This year's general election saw the old Dunedin South electorate have its boundaries altered and be renamed as Taieri. There was uncertainty what this would mean for political candidates such as Labour's Ingrid Leary.
This branch has been hardcore Labour. Of course, there's been the challenge of boundary changes, of a new candidate, and also of the electorate name change, which had quite a big effect on people. So to see numbers heading in a really good direction for the volunteers who've done all that work feels really good.
Leary ended up with almost twice as many votes as National's 29-year-old candidate Liam Kernaghan. He suggests Labour and its leader Jacinda Ardern have used the COVID-19 pandemic as a publicity vehicle.
This election's been about COVID, and the Prime Minister has had quite a good run, I think, insofar as reassuring New Zealanders about that in terms of the health response. We were trying to sell our message on the economic response, and it obviously just hasn't resonated as much as we would have expected it to.
The former Dunedin North electorate, now just called Dunedin, saw Labour MP David Clark win the lion's share of the votes and easily retain his seat, with the public forgiving his lockdown transgressions, which had seen him stripped of his portfolio as Minister for Health.
I've been very proud to serve as the local MP, and when people put that trust in you, it's a privilege and an honour, and I look forward to honouring that trust.
The Dunedin North electorate didn't give much for National candidate and MP Michael Woodhouse, who almost ended up third, polling not much higher than 26-year-old Jack Brazil of the Greens. And with National having won so few seats in this election, Woodhouse was at one stage looking like he wouldn't even make it in as a list MP.
Well, it does appear as though I'm going to continue to be a list MP here in Dunedin for National. Sadly, that gets strengthened with every electorate seat that National loses, where those candidates, my colleagues, are ranked below me on the list. And we have lost some seats where some really, really talented colleagues have worked hard for their communities, but have not been successful on the night. So I'm really sad for them, and I'm sad for the party. And at least in the short term, I don't think we're going to have the same strength of representation in Parliament.
Special votes cast in this year's election are still to be counted. In Dunedin, The South Today.
And Labour's success in Dunedin was replicated across the South Island. It won the party vote in every single South Island electorate for the first time since MMP voting system was adopted in 1996. The National Party's closest run was in the traditionally conservative electorate of Southland, where it lost by just over 580 votes. Adding further misery to National's night was its third place in the Dunedin electorate, where the Greens claimed second for the first time. While Labour gained a massive majority in the newly drawn seat, National lingered some 1,500 votes behind the Greens, who received around 7,000 votes. Outside Dunedin City, National candidates did hold on to a number of regional seats, but by a far slimmer margin than 3 years ago.
Invercargill was a tough electoral battle between National's Penny Simmons and Labour's Liz Craig, neck on neck, with Simmons getting ahead by only about 600 votes.
But it's been a really positive campaign, so really good vibe out on the ground, and really good to be back with the volunteers here having a catch-up.
Oh, well, it's just lovely to have all our volunteers and members and friends and family here, and it's just a really nice opportunity to be able to thank all the people that helped me so much throughout the campaign.
Waitaki, with its main centre of Oamaru, had in previous elections been a safe national seat. But 21-year-old Labour candidate Liam Wairepo substantially closed that gap against current National MP Jackie Dean.
It's really great also myself as my first race in an election to see that we've closed a massive margin for this electorate.
Look, I have never taken winning this seat for granted, never. And I am still eternally grateful to be the MP for Waitaki, and I will be giving it my all from opposition on behalf of the people of Waitaki.
And the Southland electorate saw Nationals' Joseph Mooney win the seat, but with a far slimmer majority than disgraced MP Hamish Walker had done 3 years earlier.
I've had an incredible experience the last 2.5 months or thereabouts, going around and meeting people. It's been awesome, to be honest, and my wife and my youngest daughter have come around with me a lot, and it's just been amazing.
Special votes in this year's election are still to be counted. Across the regions, the South today.
A small fire in demolition equipment at the former Cadbury factory in Dunedin sent black smoke high above the central city this afternoon. The smoke could be seen billowing from the former factory just after 2 p.m. today. Fire crews from Dunedin, Lookout Point, Willowbank and St Kilda were called to the blaze. A Fire and Emergency New Zealand spokesman says the fire was located in a filter bag of equipment used in the demolition of the building. Ultimately, the small fire was able to be extinguished with a single hose. The building is being cleared to make way for the new Dunedin Hospital. A 1980s themed party was held at Cadrona over the weekend. The event celebrated the end of the season and 40 years since the ski field first opened to the public.
Cadrona Alpine Resort started the year with a bang, with the country's Prime Minister attending the opening of the ski field at the end of June.
I'm not a skier.
General Manager Bridget Lignavsky says COVID-19 and the absence of overseas tourists created a lot of uncertainty in the build-up to this year's winter season.
The worst day was probably the night we got told we were at 9:30 at night we were going into level 2, and just, you know, the sort of the anxiety of what we needed to do to move to that step. Even though we were prepared, it was a pretty big call that late at night. So that was probably the toughest time. And then we got into that and it wasn't too bad. It was hard on the staff though. And
this last Saturday, the ski field celebrated the end of this year's season and 40 years of providing snow fun for skiers by holding an 80s themed bash on the mountain.
Well, the outfit is, these are the original boots, 46 years old, original pants, new jacket, but the rest of it just party. It's 80s party, you see, so we're going hard.
Yeah, so my ensemble today, I've got some beautiful flares, a nice retro jacket, paired with a beautiful little headpiece knitted by myself.
Well, this is a late 80s kind of outfit from Japan that was on a brochure cover, so many people find it recognisable. It's been used by Cadrona many a time, even in the last year, so I thought it's perfect and it almost still fits.
Despite opening briefly in 1980, the first full ski season at Cadrona was 1981, a year that former operations manager Sean Gilbertson remembers well.
I think they had 10 days the year before, the very first year, and then we did 6 weeks. And I was sort of, I just call myself like, you know, I was cleaning toilets and doing some of the really dingy stuff, you know, a lot of fun jobs.
And what are you doing now?
Same stuff really, nothing's changed.
Saturday's party was the first real get-together of the ski field's old stalwarts in many years.
And this is quite nostalgic actually. It's the first time we've done turns together since the Snowboard Masters.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Snowboard Masters, this will be the last time we together skiing.
Yes. What year was that? Come
probably
on,
in 2002 or 3.
No, I think it'll be 5.
5.
Or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Plans for summer on the slopes include hiking, biking and mountain karting. In Cadrona, the South today.
Still to come on the South today. A year on from the tragic death of Sophia Cristani, students take to the streets around campus to give the area a clean-up in her honour, and we continue our series on the risk Dunedin faces from a damaging earthquake. Ka kite a koe nei.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Hi, Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Hoki mai anō. A clean-up of the North Dunedin student precinct was organised in memory of a student who was tragically killed last year. The memory of Sophia Cristani was honoured by cleaning up rubbish on the streets around the University of Otago.
Students from the University of Otago braved the rain last Friday, cleaning up the streets around campus in memory of Sophia Cristani, who was crushed to death a year ago in a stairway pile-up at a student party.
Me and my flat have just come down really to support Sophia. It's such a great cause and we love being able to see everyone rally around something that is actually really meaningful.
Despite the rain, the rubbish skips were already close to full by mid-afternoon.
So yeah, it's been a good turnout and we've collected a lot of rubbish.
The clean-up was hosted by Uni Crew volunteers and the Otago University Students Association and supported by signatories of the Sophia Charter, which includes the university, police and Dunedin City Council. In Dunedin, the South today.
Tonight we present another chapter in a 10-part series on Dunedin's risk of an earthquake similar in magnitude to the ones that damaged Christchurch 10 years ago. This time we look at the safety of historic stone buildings on the University of Otago's campus.
University of Otago geology professor Mark Sterling identifies this 4-metre-high ridge and farmland near the settlement of Akatore, about 25 kilometres south of Dunedin, as being created by 3 major earthquakes in the last 10,000 years, with the last one occurring only about 700 years ago. If it moved like that again, Dunedin could well be hit by an earthquake similar in magnitude to the ones that wrecked so many historic buildings in Christchurch.
working in seismic hazard and seeing Canterbury and Kaikoura and some international earthquakes, I would say, yes, if an Akatori fault earthquake happened and it ruptured its full length, there would be very significant damage to heritage buildings in Dunedin.
One cluster of vulnerable historic stone buildings is on the University of Otago campus and includes Professor Sterling's own office.
I work in the geology department, and that building is an unreinforced 1870s building, unreinforced masonry. It has been retrofit to 30% of code, but you know, the biggest lecture theatre, when it empties out, my office shakes, and a brick building shouldn't shake. It's a rigid building. So, you know, that scared me the first time I felt that in my office, and I thought it was a Fiordland earthquake or something, but then I realised it happened every time the lecture theatre emptied out. But it just gives you an idea of that's not right.
In recent years, the university has spent millions of dollars strengthening its buildings, with plans to allocate more than $100 million towards further strengthening over the next 10 years.
So I'm glad that our university is doing something about the earthquake issue.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, a novel approach from the Invercargill City Library hopes to build confidence in children around animals. And we find the bright spots in an otherwise cloudy weather forecast. Hei koko akinei.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Hi, our Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
no mai nor. The Invercargill City Library had animals running among its books recently in an effort to build confidence among school-aged children. It hopes the animals can help students develop their reading skills.
Lying around productively. The Invercargill City Library had dogs, rabbits and even some goats running around its rooms to help children read aloud. Assistant Librarian Mandy Stinton says the Read to an Animal School event is a great way to build confidence.
It's really based around children who are shy reading aloud. So sitting beside a pet and reading to it, they can just go and there's nobody judging or correcting them. It's just how they read the story to the pet. And so I approached the SPCA and they kindly said yes, and they've come along today with their beautiful animals, and it's been really successful.
Invercargill SPCA Animal Care Manager Georgia Dillian says it's a good chance for children to see a range of different animals and learn how they should behave around the furry creatures.
It's a really good experience for the kids just to sort of learn how to be nice and quiet around smaller animals, and also a good little get to read, learn to read experience for them as well, which is quite nice, a nice wee holiday program for them.
In Invercargill, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The Labour Party strengthens its hold on Dunedin, taking both the city's electorates with a healthy majority on Saturday night. It's slightly better news for the National Party outside Dunedin City as the party holds on to 3 safe seats. And snow fans hit the slopes at Cardrona Ski Field for their final runs of the season at the weekend. Now for a look at what's happening at tomorrow's ODT, we have editor Barry Stewart with us this evening. Kia ora, Barry.
Hello, Simon. The election, of course, there's lots to mop up there, so we have a crack today. We trace the astonishing rise of ACT in Labour in the South, across the South, and of course the collapse of national political writer Mike Houlihan looks at some of the regional polling booths, so that's an interesting insight into how they performed, and it gives us a little picture of that change. So interesting story there. And of course, predictably enough, the business and farming communities in the South are joining a chorus of stakeholders throughout the country, hoping that Labour will not go into coalition with the Green Party. There was a City Council meeting today. Some Dunedin City Councillors say the wage subsidy has done its job. Others fear that businesses, or fear how businesses will survive without it. So a look at that. A group overseeing international education in Dunedin is trying to work out how more pupils from overseas can stay in the city and take up tertiary study. The impact of the looming labour shortages in horticulture and viticulture sectors is expected to spiral into other sectors of the industry, according to industry sources.
Right. That's great, Barry. Thank you.
That and more.
And time now for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with today's southern view, taken of beautiful flowers near Princes Street. Looking at the situation, cold and cloudy in most places tomorrow as a southwest airflow eases. But it's a dry and mostly fine week after that, with warmer temperatures to settle into the weekend. Starting off with the northwest of the South Island, where it's cloudy in Westport on 14 degrees, Greymouth on 15 with some scattered showers. Mostly cloudy in the northeast, but Nelson and Blenheim can enjoy 19 and 17 degrees. Cloud 2 in Canterbury on 14 or 15 degrees. Ashburton might see a bit more sun than the overcast Kaikoura and Christchurch. The cloud is accompanied by light southwesterlies down south, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore, all on 14 degrees. Up to central Otago, where it's light winds but otherwise fine. Queenstown and Te Anau settle on 15 degrees. Alexandria reaches 16 and Wanaka is top on 17. To the northern towns, it's cloudy on the coast with variable winds, both Timaru and Oamaru on 14 degrees. Inland, it's light winds and fine, Twizel on 16 or Marama on 17. Cloudy in Dunedin tonight with southwesterlies, an overnight low of 8. It starts cloudy tomorrow too. That breaks late morning as breezy and cold southwesterlies pick up. The wind dies down late afternoon, a high of 13 and a low of 8. Some drizzle early Wednesday, but mostly dry, if a little cloudy again with light winds. Another high of 13 and a low of 7 breaks the pattern. And in Invercargill, cloudy here tonight too, with an overnight low of 5. Cloud clears as the day progresses tomorrow and southwest winds dissipate, setting up a fine afternoon, a high of 14 and a low of 2. It starts fine Wednesday, but the cloud returns carried by moderate southwesterly winds, a high of 15 and a low of 9. And that's the news this Monday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka ki tāno.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.